Introverts and extroverts could not be more opposite from one another. And they say opposites attract when it comes to love, right? I don't know about that one. In today's special video, I have a special guest with me, my husband Quazi, who is probably the dictionary definition of an extrovert. At least I think so. So I'm going to be talking about what it's like to date an extrovert as an introvert, and I'm also going to get a POV from his side as well, coming from an extrovert. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly welcome everyone who's new to my channel. My name is Bridget. On this channel, I talk a lot about introverts, a lot about social anxiety and general anxiety. So if any of that interests you, make sure you go check out some of my other videos as well. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful or useful, comment below what you'd like to see more from me, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. So starting off strong, question number one is, why do you define yourself as an introvert and an extrovert? So I'll go first. I think I'm kind of like an in-between, and he'll probably stay the same. I'm more of like, I can be extroverted a lot of the time, but I'd say like 90% of the time I'm probably introverted. And I would say it's because not only do I like to spend most of my time alone, I also keep to myself a lot when it comes to my thoughts. Whereas like, he'll just say whatever he's thinking out loud. I'm like internalizing, analyzing, overthinking everything. And also, when I'm tired or stressed or drained, I just want to sit home and be by myself. What would you say?
I think everyone wants to stay at home when they're tired though, right?
I don't know, some people like after a long day of like being by themselves, they'd just be like, I want to socialize. I want to get out. Like, I don't really crave that too often.
What was the question again?
Why do you define yourself as an extrovert?
I define myself as an extrovert. Well, I would say I'm also in between. I think, and I learned this from you, I think I'm an introverted extrovert. You know, I do get energized being around people, socializing with people, and at the end of the day, after like a long day of work and just being by myself, I want to go out and socialize because I just feel trapped, you know, and I want to meet people, hang out with people, and just talk and just socialize. That's why I'm like, you know, when I try to talk to you at the end of the day and you're drained and you want to be by yourself, I'm just like, oh, she's like, because, you know, you're kind of like closed off. And
I'm like in my head.
Yeah, exactly. We usually have this argument where she feels like I need a lot of attention and I feel like I'm not getting enough attention.
Like a puppy.
Yeah, because I'm an extrovert and I need to like talk and socialize all the time.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's why I define myself as an extrovert, because I get recharged when I'm around other people.
You know, that was perfect because you just rambled for like so much longer than I rambled. Like, I just answer the question, that's it, straight to the point. And you're like writing an essay. I don't know what for. Okay, next question. What's the hardest part about being in a relationship with an introvert? So this is like just for you. I mean, I guess I can answer it for the extrovert side, but you go ahead.
The hardest part about being in a relationship with an introvert is you have to try to read their fucking minds about what they're thinking all the time. It's because with me, if I don't like something, I'll straight up tell her like, hey, this wasn't good. Hey, this meal that you cooked, I'll be honest, it wasn't good. But I don't know if that's just like a quality of an extrovert, or I don't know if people pleasing comes into play here, but I used to be on the people pleasing side a lot more before. But now I'm not as much anymore. So I just say whatever I think. I just feel like life is too short to be like, you know, analyzing, whoa, how does someone feel about this?
Beating around the bush.
Yeah, exactly. So I just say how I feel. And sometimes it can be a little bit abrasive, but, you know, I'm learning to get that under control. But the hardest part about being in a relationship with an introvert is just not knowing how you feel. Because sometimes you'll be feeling frustrated and you'll be penting it up and I won't know it. And you won't tell me.
Yeah.
But then you'll have this crazy explosion. And I'll be like, well, what just happened? Why did this just happen? Like, I didn't even see any signs of it happening. But now I'm becoming more intuitive and aware enough to keep asking. I just have to keep poking and prodding the bear. Like, come on, what's going on? What's going on? How you feeling? How you feeling? Always checking in.
You know what's funny? That was going to be my answer. It's
That's
like
so
you're
insane.
constantly shouting at me. Not literally, but like you're just always talking about whether it's how I'm feeling, how you're feeling. And sometimes I just like I need the silence.
I don't know if this video is going to be a shit on your husband kind of video.
No. What else? Let me think of a better one. You're just so quick to do anything when it comes to socializing where I have to like think about it for a really long time. And I kind of also envy that about you. Like, you can just say yes and be okay with it, not think about it for too long. Whereas I'm like, oh my God, freaking out. What the heck is that?
It's a cat.
It scared me. Next question. What is something you didn't expect from your partner or that you've learned about their personality type? Okay, I'll go first. So my previous relationship was with an introvert. And I knew what extroverts were. And then I've always been friends with extroverts, and I've talked about this in my videos. But getting into a relationship, like an intimate relationship with an extrovert, it's like you don't know what you're signing up for. You don't realize how often extroverts need to be around people when you're so used to just being by yourself or being content with just like one person. Like, I don't like to spend a lot of time in big groups of people. That is not my forte, and it is for you. Like, or you have no problem doing it. So I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting to be around so many people so frequently, and also just like, for example, like we're at a coffee shop or we're at a restaurant and you'll just like make conversation with like someone who walks by or things like that. And I'm getting more used to like putting myself in those conversations because it's uncomfortable and I think it's good for me. But also it's kind of mind-boggling when I see you do it sometimes. It's like do you ever get tired of hearing your voice?
I was going to ask you the same thing.
Yeah, okay. You have to answer the question now.
What was the question?
What's something you didn't expect?
Oh, yeah. We talked about how I talk a lot, but I don't think we've addressed the times when you go like machine gun Kelly, like, and just like, just start talking. Because it's like, when you're an introvert, I feel like you just pent it up all the time, and then when you get excited about something, you just keep talking, and I just can't handle it. So that's one thing I did not expect from someone who's an introvert. Because I feel like with you, and I don't want to generalize all introverts because I feel like all introverts are different. But it's like, if you find people who are close to you that you trust and you've gotten comfortable with, you just become an extrovert with them.
Yeah.
It's like you have no problem just like talking your heart out, like, and I'll just be like, all right, what's going on? Like, I'm lost. Well, how do we get from this point to that point? That's one thing I did not expect.
So this one's just for me. What's the hardest part about opening up to an extrovert who wants to know more? And I feel like we've kind of touched on this a little bit. Like, he loves to ask me questions, especially when it comes to just like how I'm feeling on a day-to-day basis, just so that, like he said, I don't, explode at some point. I think especially in the beginning, when we first started dating, he definitely asked a lot of, just like general questions when you get into a relationship with somebody. But sometimes, like he said, I don't feel comfortable right off the bat unless I know them very, very well. So when we just started dating, that was like a really hard thing for me. Like, I feel like I knew so much about him, but until I was comfortable enough, I wasn't ready to reveal all of those secrets about me. Like I like to keep to myself in that way. Like, I like to keep how I'm feeling. I like to keep, my deepest, darkest things that I don't want people to know about me under the radar for at least a little while. Anyways, what are the pros and cons of being in a relationship with someone of the opposite personality type?
I can go.
Okay, go.
The pros is, I think, like, honestly, I've learned a lot. And I know this is like a generic answer everyone's going to give, like, but I genuinely feel like I've learned a lot as I've been with you. Because it's like I've been completely unbalanced on one side of the pole, but then she came into my life. And then I started to become more empathetic, more sensitive, more inquiring about how someone else is feeling. And it's almost made me like a better leader for my clients, for my team. And it's allowed me to get into more of that like sensitive, empathetic side of myself that I didn't know existed. Because it was just, everything was just like brute force, whatever you're feeling, ignore it and like push it down until you get there. Like things like that, it allows me to center myself and just stay calm and collected and be a better human being in general. That's like one of the main pros. The cons is it's just so hard to get along because you're so different sometimes.
Yeah.
Because when you have differences, it's such a huge clash. So you kind of get in your way. And I was reading the star signs. She's a Sagittarius, I'm a Taurus. Technically, apparently, we're incompatible, but we can be very compatible.
Oh, we can be.
We can be very compatible if we can learn to put aside our differences and come together. Then it can be very, very powerful. Which is something I feel like, at least on my end, I'm learning to become less rigid. And
my pros are, it's like the exact opposite. Because I was already some of those things, like very empathetic and very sensitive to people and always looking out for people, always like analyzing my surroundings. Sometimes that would obviously be troublesome, and I feel like you've helped me kind of understand myself and how I should put myself out there and how I see myself in the world, in my surroundings, in groups of other people. Like just learning not to care so much about what everyone else is thinking and like hold my ground in a room, in a social setting, being myself without thinking about the entire room, what everyone else is thinking about me. And just like taking risks in general, I feel like you are someone, and I think a lot of extroverts are like this, they take risks and they don't care. Introverts are like the complete opposite. So I think you've really helped me, be better at that and just not giving a fuck, My cons. Wait, what did you say for cons?
you can't copy me.
No, because I thought of something, but I'm trying to remember what I thought of. Can you just say?
Oh, how difficult it is to get along sometimes. Because we're so opposite.
Okay, so my con, that's what reminded me. My con is, and it's so stupid because I know it's like it's kind of me. When we get into a conflict and you want to talk about it right away, like you want to get it resolved, and I'm like, bro, I need time. I need to think. I need to let things marinate. And I kind of want to
soup?
talk, I know this isn't possible in a relationship, but I just want to figure it out for myself and talk to myself about it. Whereas you need to know right away. And if you don't discuss it right away, you'll go to someone else to discuss it with. You need to speak your feelings out loud right away. And I'm like, no can do. Let's rain check on this. But I think we've also learned to compromise with each other.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah, we've evolved so much.
I know you need to discuss it with other people, and now I don't get as mad about that because I know that's just something that you need to do for your own internal well-being. And I think you can kind of say for me is that I need a little bit of time to sit and marinate on it, like soup. And and then we'll come together to discuss it and work it out and resolve the issue. This one's for you, and I think I kind of want to get your read on this. Do you think being an extrovert helps or hinders your dating? I feel like the answer is kind of obvious.
My dating?
Your dating life.
Oh, helps. Easy help.
Yeah.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because, well, you can put yourself out there, and the easiest way to date, the reason why most people, I feel like, at least in this modern day and age, fail with dating is because they're afraid to put themselves out there because we've become keyboard warriors. And we're on our phones all the time, swiping through Tinder or stuff. Gone are the days of good old-fashioned, go to a bar and you just strike up a conversation with someone. Like how we met. We met on the train. I just saw you and I came up and struck up a conversation. But I just think that's such a wholesome and organic way to meet someone. And being an extrovert really helps with that. Doesn't make it less uncomfortable. It does, I feel, make it a lot easier. And for those introverts who are watching this right now, it doesn't mean you can't cultivate that quality. It takes a lot of practice and just it becomes habit to go swipe on Tinder and it becomes comfortable. It's a little uncomfortable. There's fear of rejection, but it helps when you put yourself out there. So yeah, as an extrovert, I think overall you do have a much easier time socializing, therefore dating.
Yeah, I agree. We would have never met if you hadn't come up to me.
Yeah, you wouldn't have come up to me.
Hell no. How do you communicate your interests when it comes to dating? So for me as an introvert, how do I let you know that I was interested? And I feel like it was kind of hard off the bat because I was like very shy, very quiet, and I guess there were like just some subtle things that I did in the beginning to let him know that I was interested. Like obviously when you reached out and I said, yeah, like I'll hang out. Like
she
that
responded.
Was a big thing.
Yeah.
Like responding right away is obviously a big thing. I think I just made an effort to spend as much time as I could with you.
Yeah.
So that I could get comfortable, so that I could open up.
Funny you mentioned that. I was like, back then I was with my roommate. Back then I was a different person entirely. And if you did something or like, you know, said no or did something that I didn't like, I would take it personally. Mm-hmm. So like then I have my advisors who I trust and I speak with them to hash it out to see if I'm like, to bounce ideas off of, to see if I'm actually being rational about this or I'm just being downright like stupid.
Oh no.
Yeah, and
Were you
so,
talking about me?
huh?
Were you talking about
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know what happened. Like maybe you did something that upset me at the time, but then he was like, "Hey, this girl just like ditched her whole friend, like her friend group, and like did this and did that just to hang out with you. She's clearly interested. She's clearly like into you, you know." So it's
See?
yeah, it's like even though you don't say it, it's like you have to look at if someone you're dating or if someone you're interested in is an introvert, you have to look beneath the surface, not just surface level what they're saying, but what they're doing, like their actions. Actions speak louder than words, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good one. How do you navigate social settings together? What happens when the introvert doesn't want to go or feels forced? I feel like only recently have we started to go to like more bigger social gatherings, especially like networking and things like that, where you want to go. You want to go, you feel like you have to go because it'll be good for your business and there are going to be a lot of, you know, high influence.
High net worth individuals.
Yeah. And so we've been going to a lot more of those and I hate it. Well, I don't hate it.
Yeah, you do.
I hate the idea of it. But I will say that every time we've gone, I always ended up having a good time. And I didn't regret it at all.
That's usually how it is though with you, right? Like initially you're like, oh, I don't want to go. I hate this. This. But then after the fact, you're like, I'm so glad I did that. You know?
Well, because part of it is like I'm proud of myself for doing it because like I also have social anxiety. But also, you know, sometimes you end up having like some really great conversations with people and it all works out. So that I kind of want to get into how we navigate the actual social gathering together because we're very different when it comes to that. Like we don't really stick together in these kinds of things. Like we kind of just let each other do our own thing because if I did what he did, I would be miserable and I would just feel like a puppy falling around its owner. Like it just wouldn't be what I want to portray myself as and it just wouldn't be fun for me. So typically what I do at these gatherings is like I'll find those one or two people that I connect with and I'll have a conversation with them for like an hour.
You'll just stick with them for the rest of the night.
And that's usually what I do. And along the way I'll meet, you know, maybe like one or two more people. Whereas he will jump, because also you know most of these people there. Or some of them. Or I don't really know anybody. Maybe like one or two people. And you will jump to like next conversation, and you just keep going. And couldn't be me.
Yeah.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah, to me it's like, oh, this is a party. Let's have a good time with everyone here. And then I just meet one person, then the next person, then shoot the shit with the other person. Oh, look, it's a new person. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's just like that. You just get to know like the whole place.
And I think we've come to a place now where we understand that about each other.
Yeah.
And we just let each other do our own thing because we know at the end of the day that's what's going to work for us. And there's definitely been times in the past where I would just follow you around the whole night or yeah, pretty much. That's
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you did. Like if I came to one of your events, I would.
But then that's the thing. So what I was gonna say was then if I did do that, I would just resent you, be mad at you for making, and it would have for me been felt forced. You know, like I didn't want to go in the first place, and I had a shitty time because I followed you around the whole night.
Yeah.
So I've learned to kind of peace and do what's best for my own sanity. One last question for you, and it's kind of in regards to the last question a little bit. Do you ever feel like the crutch when we're in social situations? Like you're my crutch.
I'm your crutch? I get what you mean. Sometimes. I think before a lot more than now. Like maybe a year ago. Yeah. But here's the thing though, here's the thing. I do feel like that when we're with my friends and people you haven't met and people you aren't comfortable with. But then when we're with your friends, it's no longer that way. You know? It's like you're more in your home setting, like these are all your close friends. And that's what I've noticed. Like when you find a few close friends, you hang on to them for dear life. You know, and you don't care about like adjusting, you know, maybe, I don't know, analyzing if these friends are good for you or not. Because I think differently than you do, you know? I'm always looking at like, it sounds kind of selfish to say like, what do I have to gain? You know, like, can I contribute value to this person? Can they contribute value to me? Can this be a win-win relationship? So that's why I'll be vehemently opposed to hanging out with people who are who are toxic, who I feel are toxic to me, are making me more negative. All we do is complain and gossip.
Yeah,
Whereas,
why would you want to do that?
I know, that's what I'm saying, but I feel like, you know, with an introvert, you know, you might not be looking at after that. You're like, all right, I've got a group of close friends. You're not constantly analyzing if these people are good for you or not. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't have the fear that, you know, I might not find another friend again. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what you're like when I'm not there. Do you know what I mean? I can only assume it's somewhat similar, maybe a little different. So in regard to that crutch question, like when I'm not there, I feel like you might just be like completely normal. At least with your friends, at least maybe even in social settings. Because sometimes I used to hear you crack jokes with strangers and I'd be like, no way. She cracks jokes with strangers, like since when? This isn't like a friend group. How can she comfortably express her personality? I didn't think she did that. So then I would be really shocked. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do that like when you're not around.
Yeah.
Like I'm the same way. But I won't, you know, go Machine Gun Kelly on the cashier. So yeah, that was fun. Thank you for answering those questions. I feel like that was, like we worked through some things, you know?
Yeah?
No, like for real. Like I feel like even just this,
Yeah.
like I feel like I learned a lot. Some things I kind of already knew, I had a feeling, but as like an introvert dating an extrovert and vice versa, the challenges, the things that we've overcome, the things to look out for, and things like that. So
yeah, we're still working through a lot of things, and we'll always be growing, always be learning more about each other, I'm sure.
Always.
Because people are always changing, you know? They never stay the same.
I mean, I'd hope so.
Yeah.
Like every day I feel like we get different. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys found it helpful and useful as always, and I will see you next time. Bye.